What's going on, everyone? Vampyr Gaming here, and one of my favorite decks right now, and I think it's just the most underrated, is PB and Luffy, or just the Gear 5 Monkey D. Luffy Leader from OP09. It had a decent showing in Asia, but it has yet to have any form of a showing here in the West, and it really breaks my heart because I feel like this is one of the coolest leaders, because one, he has cost manipulation, which is great, especially when a lot of these decks are playing Lucci, and we're seeing, of course, that rise of Lucci as well. So he's got anti-Lucci, and then on top of that, he essentially plays with 11 Dawn, and what that means is like all your cards are -2, so you get one extra Dawn, and getting one extra Dawn every turn is very nice. That's why RP Luffy is so good. Now, of course, the basis of this deck is you still want to ramp. It is a purple deck at its core, and some of the cards have synergy with that within the deck. If you're not familiar, cards like, the Roronoa, and then all the cards we get in OP09 have an option to minus more than one, and then to use Luffy's ability, which is Dawn, or once per turn when 2 or more Dawn cards are returned to your deck from play, set up to one of your Dawn as active and one of them as rested, so you get that extra Dawn. And so we've got Bentham. We're playing 3 of. Totally can play 4. Just like once you go to 4, you have 7 rampers for the 4 Dawn turn, but you only have 4 rampers for the 3 Dawn turn, which is like the big challenge in the deck that I've been facing so far. You can, of course, on play, add 1, and then this card is also really good for like late game and against decks that play really large bodies but no removal, because you can turn this, you can spit out 2 of these in one turn. If your opponent has a 9k body, each one of these swings for 9k, and then you could potentially just set yourself up with lethal on that alone. Playing Finosuke, searchable 2k and rusher if need be, a 6/5 rusher if you really need it. I am playing Eustace Captain Kidd. One thing to note, he is not searchable by Trafalgar Law. However, I did just want a blocker. You could play Queen, but I did want the option to have this. We get 1 extra Dawn. Maybe we just get 2 extra active Dawn, and that could go a long way. So far in testing, I haven't really played Eustace, so you could consider this as flex. The 1 of Luffy 10 drop, I think 1 of's fine. We play searches. We play a lot of draw cards. It's okay. This card is pretty much like rare occasion game ender. You play this, and then you play out your turn, then you play this, then you ramp at the end, and then you swing because you get 1 active, then you're going to do this, you're going to go 3, then you're going to go to 5, and you got 10, 12 last swings for lethal. So it's almost like you play this body and you get a 10, 12 swing rush when going for lethal. Of course, we got the Sanji only playing 2. You could play more. This one, you go -2. You're going to get 1 back, rest 1. And then you, of course, can rest a blocker. So that's where he really comes in handy. And, then, of course, you get that Dawn value. So he's really like paying 6 for a 7 swing while also resting up to a 6k blocker. I just clicked that. And then we've got Trafalgar Law. I just clicked Law. I'm going to crash out. We got Trafalgar Law. He looks at the top 4, not to be mistaken with top 5. So he looks at the top 4, searches Straw Hat or Heart Pirates, and it has to be a 2-cost or greater. So he cannot search Gum Giant. Very important things to note when piloting this deck. Overall, best turn 1 play. You want to see him find your pieces. And we got Frankie, second best card in the deck as far as the Luffy engine goes. You want to have this for your geckos. This is your best gecko play. You're going to play gecko on 8. You're going to get 1 extra Dawn. And then on top of that, you get to cycle a little bit. Dig for those geckos. Dig for your top end. Beppo. Beppo's a tech choice. We're playing 10 total 2Ks. Beppo is a great option as well to bring back off of Gecko, because if your opponent doesn't respect this card, they have to. Otherwise, you're going to gain 1,000 power pretty much every turn and be able to apply a lot more pressure than they can anticipate. So we're playing this at 2 of just because it can't be sneaky. And if we happen to trash it off of Frankie, or we don't happen to get our Trafalgar Law in our trash for our Gecko plays, this is a nice little replacement because we don't have very many cards playable off of Gecko. Now, of course, this is the best card the card that makes this deck good. You play this on 3, you get the ramp to 4 because he gives you an active Dawn. Your leader gives you an active Dawn. So he really costs 1 Dawn because you pay 1 and then you're going to get 2 more active. So you pay 3 and you get 2 more active. So really it's just a 1 cost, and then you could play something else alongside of him or just swing big. Playing 2 of this Monkey D. Luffy, I also think that there is, and we'll talk about it, there's going to be, of course, a section about cards you can play, and we'll talk about that, but we're opting to play this. This card, of course, generates value, and then you get 1 Dawn active, so even if you play him on the 9 curve, you can still protect yourself with the Gum Gum Giant should you need to. Usohachi, best purple card ever printed. You just get the Rest a Blocker. 3 cost, rest any blocker. Pretty good, pretty good. He's your lime juice, but way better. And of course, we've got Kuzan. I'm playing Kuzan. I think that there is a place for him in the deck. The biggest issue, of course, is space. I think in terms of flex, Eustace Captain Kidd, Kuzan, feel free to place these with whatever, but Kuzan, one thing to know, there's only 5 cards in the deck that he has interaction with in terms of the cost minus, but he is a good Gecko play. Great card to trash off of Frankie and a supplemental 4 Dawn curve play. However, we do have 14 cards that are playable on our 4 Dawn, and again, we only have 4 for our 3 Dawn plays. So maybe you replace this with Zoro Joro if that's something of your vibe, because we do want that. You need to hit that ramp. You need to hit those 2 ramps, get you up there, and then start playing big bodies before your opponent can do anything meaningful to threaten those. But then also, Kuzan forces your opponent to answer this body, and if not, Kuzan gets a lot of value, and he's just really scary in general. Then, of course, Gecko Moria, the MVP of this deck. This, of course, you get a very unique combination that others don't. Yeah, you're not removing 10 drop bodies, but you do get to bring back this ideal. Gecko Moria is going to be the Frankie blocker and this Trafalgar Law. You go Law, blocker. Honestly, you should probably just draw first, then Law search, because I whiff a lot on Law for some reason. Maybe it's because I should replace these with more targets. You tell me. But you get to do this. Dawn -2, you get 1 active, so you can still swing 6, or again, leave 1 up for Gum Gum Giant. But you probably don't want to do that ideally on your 8 Dawn turn, but it does give you extra Dawn and let you go just a little bit farther. And then, of course, you can do, so you can go do your +2 and essentially make your Gecko play a +1. Playing 2 Kaido. Big downfall of Kaido is it's a 7, not an 8, but we've got things like Shanks, in which are playing 7s, and of course we got like some, you've got Luffy Taro, which is also a 7, and then you can Kaido it, which is nasty on the return, which is pretty decent. So it's got a decent spread into things. Of course, Gecko being the best play, Kaido allowing you to put a little bit of pressure and take a little bit of pressure off of you. And of course, Sanji, some lists don't even play Sanji. I think he's the best black removal card ever. And I feel like you just gotta play him just because of how powerful it is to just remove a 5 cost. At one point, I was teching Ice Age, and we'll talk about that in the section of cards you can play. But yeah, I think Sanji's just really good. It takes a lot of pressure off of you. On your build up, you can hit a ramp, hit a Sanji, hit a Kaido, and then you start your Gecko loops or what have you. And then Gum Gum Giant, the best card. So the way I think about this card is when you have this card, if you have a 6-card hand, you have an 8-card hand. So if you're going to counter out of something, you're going to use this. It's going to give you a 4, and you're going to stay at 6 cards in hand. So you just use 2 to counter out an attack, and now you've got 6 left. So you're really sitting there with 8 cards in hand, or 2 extra cards. This card is really 2 extra cards in your hand because it's going to counter you out of a swing, and it's going to keep your hand size the same while also cycling for it. So I really am a fan of this card. Obviously, it's just beyond good because, yeah, when you think about it like that, if I leave 2 up and I've got my hand is 6, it's actually not 6. It's way bigger than that. And so it's like you can counter out anything. Even if you have 4 cards and you have 2 of these, the hand goes way farther because you're going to be like, oh, I'll counter out. I'm still at 4. Oh, I'll counter out. I'm still at 4. And so you use 2 cards and 2 more cards. So you went through 8 total cards just with these. And so your 4-card hand becomes an 8-card hand. That's how I like to think of this card. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the cards you can play, because there is a lot of them. There is a lot of them. So first up, of course, Bon Clay. I mentioned this because it's optional, but we talked about him, so I'm going to go ahead and glimpse over him. Charlotte Linlin. I think this card is very viable, mostly because you can go down low, but then you get to 1, remove pressure, 2, go up a life, which goes a very long way, and you can ramp up and hit this on a 9 curve. It does only remove a 6, but I think this is completely playable instead of Kaido. You should not play this card. This card is so slow and so bad because by the time you play it, they're going to put you in the lethal by the time this sticks. Even if you ramp, they're just going to put you in the lethal by the time this sticks, and you're just going to get so low value out of it. And then you go minus 10, and it costs you so much. Even though, yeah, you can play your turn, I'm not a fan. Chopper Blocker. I think that this just, again, we're playing Eustace. I think you could place this with Eustace if you really wanted to, because you can, of course, do the end of the turn, get 1 Dawn active, while also being able to swing with this and put a little bit of pressure on. So he's like a swinger, while also being a block of 6 or a 5 for free. Kaido, went ahead and mentioned Kaido because he really only costs 3. Again, a card. This and this aren't that far apart. You're going to remove a 6 cost, plus he gains rush and could potentially remove 2 threats. And then again, you'll really only minus 3 Dawn because you're going to get 2 back. Queen, a value blocker, really good in late game. Decent in mid game, just gets you a little bit of filter. Does not work with Luffy's ability, but really can get you some nice things. And then, of course, this law, I think this law is super underrated. Blocker law, you get the rip 2 out. I think it's pretty decent, especially in like a Doflamingo format. They tend to find themselves teetering that 6-7 line because they're just continually doing value plays. And you hit this, hit 2 cards, can go a long way. Also against Purple Luffy, you hit this, goes a long way. Then, of course, Onami. We're not playing Onami, but again, same argument as like Queen, but this one without the minus. You can really get a little bit of filter, get a little bit of value, and it's searchable off a law. I also include this whole package. I think this package is super playable. I think there's a version where you play these. I think a lot of people kind of just overlook this, but I think all of these have a place in the deck. Because Luffy Taro is still a great play. Like, it works in Purple Luffy. Why would it not work here? And then Sangoro is the best value play because you're going to continually generate value every turn with a 6k body. And, of course, we've got Zorojoro. Again, another searcher. Helps you find your pieces. Helps you find these. You can combo this with Law. You can play this off with Gecko as well. Do a full value Gecko, this and Law. Find these, spit out these, just establish a lot of threats, go really wide. A lot of options here. I mean, same thesis for Purple Luffy. Kuzan, again, you can really like use this for minus. Borsalino, great 4-Dawn play. Again, we have like 16 playable cards on our 4-Dawn, so it doesn't feel as needed. But it is an option, and it can't be KO'd, which could be relevant. But like, the reason why I don't have it in there, though, Flamingo, you can bounce it. Sabo, though, I think Sabo absolutely has a place in it. It's a great filter card, and he protects your board. Can really mean a lot in a lot of matchups. Totally replaceable with Eustace. I did include this Sabo just because this can take a lot of pressure off. KOing a 5 and a 3 in a world with Doflamingo. So I felt like this might have its merits. Also, Nami. This Nami, it's the same thing as like BY Luffy. You can play this Nami, draw a card with the Gecko, and also establish a blocker. Similar, not as good, but cost a little bit less. Sometimes, when you do your Gecko 2, you go minus and you're at 10, you're going to have 3 extra. You could play this, draw another card. And then we have Kuzan. There is the argument to replace it with Nico Robin. The Nico Robin has block, or has counter, and then on top of that does -5. So when paired with your Sanji can now remove a 10 if they can't remove this, which goes way farther. And you could also just play Ice Age. And of course, Black Bug. You can use this in late game. Black Bug plus Kuzan is going to bottom deck a 9. And just bottom decking overall can be really good. And then Gum Gum Lightning kind of just lets you KO. But let's go ahead and get into some gameplay. Alright, what's going on, everybody? We're going to try to see if we can make this deck work, obviously. We're going second. We want an ideal curve. Rono Zoro's fine. So is Bentham. We're going to go ahead and keep. This is the same thing here, but we're going to go ahead and play Renoa just because we're going to get that RAM factor, and then we get to play this Frankie and all that greatness. So let's see how we can do. Perfect hand. We got the geckos. We want to be hitting those geckos on the high note. We're going to go ahead and pass. No 2-turn play. No searcher, but we have pretty much everything we need. We can do this, then we can ramp again, and we should just go straight. We'll go 2, 4, go 5, go 7. Then we're just going to force ourselves to 10. Actually, probably just play the Frankie. Doesn't even matter. Because we're not going to hit a meaningful kind of ramp. We've got a Eustace. We might just go ahead and play the Eustace on that curve. We do want to play this, though. Okay, this is perfect. So now we get to play the Zoro. We're going to use the action. We're going to -2. We're going to gain 1 active, then gain 1 active, gain 1 rested. And so now we're going to have 3 down to work with here. We're going to go ahead and play him down, get a search. Can't add Gum Gum Giant. Does have to be a character, or it has to be a cost 2 or higher. So we can't add Gum Gum Giant. We can add Usohachi, or we can take the Sanji. I'm going to take the Sanji just so we have some removal option on that curve, even though it doesn't give us any counter. Now we have 2 Dawn left. We're going to go ahead and attach it to Luffy, and we're going to swing 7. And the next turn, if we want, we can play the Eustace. Or we can play this Frankie. Frankie will give us a little bit of search. We want to be able to drop this Gecko. So in reality, we probably should have played the Frankie and trashed this. Okay, we're going to go 6 at me. We are going to 2K out of that. Okay, this is perfect. We're going to play this. We're going to get 1 active, so we're going to have 4 extra to work with. Then we'll go ahead and play Bond Clay, and we're just going to turbo to 10. Yeah. We're going to first. We'll swing with this first. We get our swings out of the way. And then we're going to go 10. And then we'll have this too to deal with any kind of large body he may play this turn on 7, or he's going to be forced to trash the Bomb Clay. Alright. We're going to poke 5. I guess the order actually doesn't even matter. Okay, cool. Well, now we get the answer body on his board. We're going to go here, use action 1, 2. We're going to trash the Law. Whew, we're going to gain 1 active, gain 1 rested. And we're going to go ahead and play this Bond Clay. And then we're going to pass. Now, if we really want, we can Giant and go back to 8. But now we've got cards in the trash for Gecko targets. Ideally, we're going to start looping this Frankie after he swings. But if he plays a Beckman here and he trashes this, fine. Because then we're going to go Gecko Moria, and we're just going to continually value Geckos. And build board. We're at 3 life. We're super healthy. He can't play any kind of rusher to push our life. While we are bricked up, I think we're... Yep, Beckman. Yep, perfect. Perfect. I'm going to give him the Eustace. Easy. Easy. He was getting the blocker either way. Now we get to swing 7 on top of it. Couldn't have asked for a better scenario. Alright, we've got this here. Probably trash the Sanji, just because now we're going to want to play Gecko loops at this point. I might even go 5-5. No, I'll probably just go 7-8 to the dome. He can't do anything, so we're going to go ahead and play the Gecko. Get and get. We'll do this first. Searching. We're going to add... Tempting to grab this, but I think we're going to take the Beppo. Going to return. Then we're going to use this. -1, -2. We will trash the Sanji. Draw 2 more. We're going to gain 1 active. We're gonna gain 1 rested. And now we're gonna swing 7 here. And we've got 2 giants. I am actually going to play over one of these laws. Just so that way one's in the trash. And then I'm going to take another Beppo. Just for the 2K. And now he's got 8. I'm actually just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go 6. Just to leave one out for the giant. Just because we can utilize it. And it can get us some cards. And we're going to pass. Because he's going to have to put a swing here. But if he puts just like a leader swing, we can block it. So he's only got 9. I think his best play this turn is Rayleigh or Dragon. Which is usually his 9 Dawn plays. Rayleigh can go --, KO. And then he can swing leader here. And go there. And if he minuses this and KOs it, I can't like free block the and protect the Bentham. Yep. Minus KO. And he has to minus this by 2 so we can stick the 3 on the Gecko. I'm going to get 0 value from this block. He's going to get the swing here. I might just giant on this. Giant's downfall, so I do have to trash 1 card. So you go 6. Yeah. Had to go 6 because I could protect it. We go ahead. And less value going 8. I'm going to go ahead and giant. Turn 1, 2. Gonna trash here. Buff here. Draw. Resolve. We are playing the Kuzan. Sadly, he hasn't come up, but now he is a great discard. And we, of course, have seen another giant. So we're in here. Let's see. Can't answer this Beckman, sadly. He has no Dawn active, so there really isn't much he can do on his turn. We're going to go ahead and reestablish everything. Go ahead and get here. We're going to be able to loop these. Go ahead and do this. We'll take... We can't take Eustace? Oh, I just whiff. Okay, then. No Kaido for me. Kaido would have been big. We'll return 2. I will trash the Kuzan. Gain 1 active, gain 1 rested. And then it's a 6. I go 6 at life. Then we'll go 7 at life. We have a ton of counter now, though. 3 life, 2 geckos. Leader ability, nice. And it's going to give us a 1K. Now, there is the argument for me to just go 8 here. But I'm going to go just 7 at face. We want to put him down. We've got these big bodies here now to really apply some pressure. And we can still keep us protected. Gecko is a huge card. And as you can see, you know, once we get that filter going, we're going Gum Gum Giant. We're playing Frankie. We're drawing cards. He's going to be slightly unhealthy or have less cards in hand. Yep. And he has to make those decisions. We're going to go ahead and pass. We can also now just play a Kuzan if we really want. The blocker, of course, the most value, being able to bring our Dawn up. But we love a good, like, 4. Kuzan just gives us another really good 4 play. And then it just makes you really think. Again, Kaido would have been huge. Sad we didn't see him. Ooh, turning off the blocker. He must want something. I don't know if that's worth the Don. To stop a block. I mean, even if your goal is to remove this gecko, if you're not swinging 14, that just feels odd. It's gonna go 7. We have a lot of cards in hand. Do I want the Sanji? We can play one more blocker, so I'm gonna go ahead and just 2-1 that. 7. I may just take this. And then we're just counter out of this. Yeah. Yeah, and then we're just gonna perfect counter out of this. 1, 2. I will trash the Sanji. Go 9, and we draw 2 bricks. Ladies and gentlemen, we got bricks. Brick house. Question is, do I now try to clear board? He left up a lot, so he can Red Hawk. I think I'm okay to attach one here, just for the fear of Red Hawk and him answering this. I also think I want to turn him sideways. I think I want to go start off 6 at face, because he has to give us counter here. Yep. Okay. And then he's going to use a Red Hawk and Leader ability, which will put him at 4. See if he's actually about it. Yep. Turn 2 Red Hawk, KO my law. Because we're going to play another. Chaining 3 Gecko is truthfully just a win con here. It's like not even all it's cracked up to be. I'm going to smack a 9 here. Just because if you want to protect it now, it's going to cost you Red Hawk on less value. Or you don't have it and you have to give me a 2 and a 1. If I can remove this, it takes all pressure off of me, but if he uses a Red Hawk here, we just have game next turn. And then I'm going to play a new Frankie and a new Law. And leave one up for Giant. We'll play this next. Because he uses his ability. I still think this was a big waste. Could have just kept these in hand. Gave it up. Once the Red Hawk. Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead. Oh, wow. I guess I just take a Kuzan. Thought I had another one in there. That's embarrassing. Well, he's turned sideways, so I'm going to take both. And then we're going to go ahead and... Oop. We'll Kuzan, draw a card, and then... we find Frankie. And now we still ton of counter here. Easy discard. We're gonna attach 1. And now we're gonna swing 6. He's already used his ability. Just leaving 1 up because I don't think we're gonna need Giant since he just has Rayleigh. And we have all this counter in hand, so I think we're okay. Yeah, and then forced him to Red Hawk on it too. Look at that. And we got to take... now we got to try to win one without 3 Geckos. That's the real challenge. That's what it's really all about. Oh, a Roger. Interesting. I will give you a 1K. I will give you 2Ks. We also place Beppo. Beppo goes a long way. 13. I'll take it. Now I'm gonna draw. We of course will be very. He's got. I mean, he's just. We just mathematically win. At this point, we go 2. Go 7. We'll minus this. We can't remove it, but we could remove this and minus. We could have just removed him, which would have been funny. But yeah, I mean, we just go here, then we just go 9. Cost them 3 cards. You just mathematically have won. And then, yeah. They can't counter out of 14. Well, like, technically they can. Yeah. GG's. Okay. Now, on those grounds, we are going to keep. We'll pass. Draw. Play here, use action 1 and 2. Return 1, optional. Gain. So now we ramp. I'm actually going to try out the Beppo. Just because every time I do a Dawn minus, it's going to make me a 6K. So we can go 6, go 7, go 9. If we see Kaido, but might not necessarily see Kaido. This card out of hand might matter. He's going to go 8. I'm going to take. Okay, now we have a 9. So going 9 is actually pretty good. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Yeah, I'm going to play out this. I'm not going to do any minus. I've got 2 6s. I guess I got 6 and a 7. 6. And then if we establish this before he establishes a 10 drop, it gives us a lot of momentum because this can clear his 10 drop. So we're in a relatively decent spot. We got to be careful. We have 2 giants, which is big too. These are going to really carry us in late game. We need a big threat and we need to apply pressure. Go ahead. Oh, we get a 2K. Very nice. They only have 1. Unless he plays Gum Sumo Slap or whatever, he can't remove this Bond Clay. If he does, I'd probably just lose. But now we're going to go 9 next turn and put on a lot of pressure. Okay, he's going to minus it by 1, give us a 2K. So we got 2 2Ks out of hand. Oh, a Radical Beam for 2. Okay. Yeah, 5 at 2. Yeah, you just get it. So you play 5, play Marco, pop this. Pretty good. That'd be a very good turn on the Shanks side. Okay, play Portkiss the Ace. Also pretty good. I can't trash it, but now I have a Kaido for follow-up, which I really like. Because he's going to go to 8. I can remove a 7. So we'll take that. We're going to go... So this is where it gets fun. Because we're going to go 6. And then we're going to get this minus. And then my leader's going to get a buff. We're going to play this. 1. Go ahead and do this. Beppo. Gain 1 Dawn active. Gain 1 Dawn rested. Go 7. Too much here. Go 9. Or 10. It's 10. There we go. Now they're only on 8, and we can establish another big threat. Again, this is really that position that we want to find ourselves in. Yeah, it's yours. Oh, he played Backman. Oh, man. This is so nasty. 6. I'll give him a 2K. Gonna draw. We're gonna draw. We're just gonna play Kaido. We're gonna go ahead and activate. Gonna trash. We're gonna leave one up because they are now going to their. We're just gonna go ahead. We're gonna put it right there. We could have cleared the ace, but I don't think ace is a big problem for us. I pass. But this way, I'm already threatening lethal. I give you a 1. It would seem I cannot defend that. Nope, we're gonna go ahead and play out the law. I'll take turn Luffy. Sure. Because now you're just guaranteed to lose. Go and play this, use action. 1, 2. Trash that. Gain 1. You arrested. Play another one if we want. I'm gonna go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will just go 9, 10 at life. Oh, I can't activate that. We'll just go 9, 10. He left one up. Probably has Radical Beam, so leader ability Rad Beam, which is fine. Oh, guard point. Not as good. Here, and we'll pass. Yeah, we got it. I mean, there's just no way he could come back from that. But let's go ahead and just talk about the deck once again overall. So, thoughts on the current build is, of course, the ramp needs it's just very, feels like turn 3 is either Zoro or nothing. The 3 curve feels slightly weak. We, of course, have a very strong 4 curve, being able to play Frankie, Kuzan, or Bentham, Bond Clay. You could go down the 2 Kuzan, up your Bentham. If you don't have Bentham, you could play something like Zoro, Juro, or even Ein, or lead performers. Bentham, of course, gives a lot of advantage in a format where big drops exist. Overall, I mean, Kaido still, I think this card is pretty flexible. This card, if you hit the ramps and you curve right, this card is very punishing, and it's a huge threat to your opponent. And it takes pressure off of you, which is something we kind of aim for with the 4-life leader, which is why we're playing like the Kuzan. Kuzan 1 being a great 4 value play, but also really strong forward that will pair well with Sanji and also the Gecko. So say you have a Sanji big threat, you're like, boom, I'm bringing out back this Kuzan. They either have to answer this Kuzan or Kuzan can go to distance. But the only two cards that are going to interact with Kuzan, is worth noting, is both Kaido and Sanji. You can choose to play those cards that we've mentioned, like Sheep's Horn if you want to rest something, or Top Knot if you're looking to bottom deck something, which can go very well with Kuzan, allowing you to bottom deck up to an 8. And of course, it being purple, giving you the ability to bottom deck. You could also even play Black Bug, anything like that. But as always, if you found this content of value, if you could do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot, and I'll see y'all in the next one.